welcome back to the Power Awakening podcast. This is episode 2 with Eirik. In the first episode, he introduced himself with all the tools and work he do in Oslo, as well as his personal stories about some power loss and how he regained the power, which was the very beautiful way all the way up where he is now. Hopefully we will hear some of more of these stories to see how is it possible to get to this level where you can deal with life more easily. And we just touched the part of addictions, like what is the outcome if you don't go to do inner work in any form, which can be yoga, therapist, group work, or anything basically when you go out and just find some tools that helps you in life to deal with your life and the difficulties in life. And we can just continue from the last episode. I just had a note about you felt that you have the desire of deeper conversations because you had people around you who were just in the material life. Mm-hmm. And this is a phase of a life when we start to feel like we need to find new groups, mm-hmm. new places to meet those that are similar now. Because mm-hmm. when we do self-development, basically we just change. And from those who's not doing the same thing, we're just getting more further and further away, and they can pull us back, mm-hmm. blame us, or whatever else that is not good for us. So the men's group in our case is the place where you can basically meet these people who will support you, listen to you, and then you can further develop more easily. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to just highlight this point from the previous episode, that you don't have to be alone, deal with all your problems. Because we have a lot of experience in a group. It doesn't matter. Even if just one person with you, there is already 3 in total. But usually there is more people, so no worries. Can we go further in this topic of power loss?
Let's go.
What was the next one after the financial and emotional power loss, let's say? What was the next one? When you already had the tools and consciously you were able to get out of it?
The third one that I can bring to the table is it was very close to the last one. So the last one I described was in the previous episode where I described the crisis, with the financial one. It was it was 1.5 years before, actually, that incident. My wife was pregnant, and she was maybe 2 months away from giving birth, and I was in Stockholm in a seminar, workshop, conference, retreat type thing, but it was in the city with 200 other people who were seeking more awareness and consciousness and growth. And during that 4-day period, on day 2 or 3 or something like that, when I was listening to all the other people speaking, slowly and steady and slowly, I started feeling more and more contracted. I was unwell. I was uneasy. I was restless. I was starting to get stressed. And then I started overthinking. What is this? What's going on? Like, what's this? I didn't know what it was. And in that room of 200 people, there were maybe 50 of them were very in power, They were very aligned. They were very, very much in their power, and they were executing that power in business, in healing, in family. They were doing really well with accumulating energy and giving energy out to other people, and they were living really abundantly in all aspects of life, not just financially. So I saw that there was a connection between my uneasy and tension and contraction and their success and their level of love and compassion and ease and grace and elegance and gratitude. So I saw there was a connection, but I didn't know what it was. So I was getting really uneasy. And then I had an epiphany during that retreat. I was like, whoa. You know when you get those moments like, oh my God, it's what, it's that, you know, those moments. And what I realized is that when it came to relationship with the women, I had stopped choosing for me. So at a certain time, when we were talking about having kids, and we were making kids, and then she was pregnant, and now she was close to delivery. It sounds like it's a postal office, it's a delivery. In that period, I realized that I stopped choosing for myself. And I started kind of preparing for being a father and a family man, and it was, when you're a father, you have to do this and be that and do this for the woman and blah, 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 blah. And I was so autistically focused on doing all the right things that I, for almost 1.5 years, I'd stopped choosing for myself. I was choosing for myself in business and career and ambition and healing and service to other people. And I was training and I was looking kind of after my body, but not optimized my trainings and looking after myself. But I've stopped. Otherwise, I just let the woman and the family and this thing just choose for me. So I realized that I've diminished myself in the relationship because we were getting a child. And that was really devastating. And I'm a very emotional guy. I'm a Pisces in astrology. And my sun, my moon, my Venus, and my Mercury is all in Pisces. So I'm very sensitive, a lot of water. So if I first get an emotion, it's very strong, you know. So I got overwhelmed. I'm like questioning everything. I was like, oh my God, am I with the right woman? Do I really want to have a child? Or was this her choice? And I just went along and I started questioning everything. So I actually... I got depressed at that retreat on day 3 or 2. And I remember actually walking, and this is quite vulnerable to share, but I want to share it because I want to promote and encourage other men to share. I was actually a little bit suicidal because when you have a woman you're married to and we're having a child, and you realize that, whoa, shit, I haven't chosen this. She has chosen this, and I just went along because, yeah, child is, yeah, let's go, I don't care, blah, 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 you know? When you realize that it's not been your choice, and it's a heavy choice. Having a child is a huge responsibility. It takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of commitment. You're like, oh my God, why did I put myself in this situation? So I actually was a little bit suicidal. So walking from the retreat center to the hotel, it was in the winter time in Stockholm, and there was really heavy waters coming in, and I was walking on the bridge, and I was like looking over and like checking out. Yeah. But I wasn't really suicidal. There's what I've learned, that there's a lot of stages of suicide. Everybody can have thoughts. Like I think 80% of the population can like visualize that. What would it look like if I actually kill myself? So that's very common. So that was the stage I was in. And then the next stage is that you're getting obsessed about the suicide. And then the next step is planning the suicide, and the next step is actually doing it. So I was in the exploratory thing, you know. So I went across the bridge and I looked down, and I knew inside, I was like, I'm not killing myself. Because I'm not, firstly, I believe in infinite lives. So I know that that's not the solution anyways. And I've probably done it in the previous lives many times to see if it works, and it doesn't. It doesn't solve anything. You just leave people with a lot of pain, and you have to redo everything in the next life, right? So that was my trust. So I looked over the bridge and looked down to face my suicidal kind of exploration or tendencies, and I looked down and I was like, facing it, and I was like feeling this energy of killer instinct that got awakened in me, because you're actually thinking about killing yourself. So the instinct, the energy, the frequency of killing arises. And when that arises, I was like, oh shit, I'm a warrior. And then it snapped all the way around. It flipped outside. Oh, it flipped inside out. So me contemplating killing ended up me being more into the killing energy, more in the warrior archetype. And I decided to deploy that into my new life instead and start choosing. So I actually faced a really deep, and risky fear. So I wouldn't recommend anyone to do this, because I don't want people to actually go and do it. But high risk, high reward, as they say. But I don't recommend anyone to do it. Just put it that way.
But it sounds like...
Seek help first. Yeah.
It sounds like you had already the self-awareness of seeing all these things that going on inside you. All the thoughts about suicide, all the thoughts about becoming a father and all the difficulties and all these things. But you were aware of this from outside, like what's going on. So it was consciously you felt into these thoughts and feelings. Or it just suddenly everything just pop up in your mind, like, it is this, it is that.
I think it was a combination of the two. So I practiced early on. That's the gift of meditation, really.
Yeah.
People when they start meditating, it's like they think it's all about quieting the mind. But for me, the real true gift of meditation is observing yourself from the outside. And so yes, I think it was a combination of both. I was observing that, whoa, there's a lot of tension, and from the observer state I could ask questions. What is this? How can I change it? Is this really what I want? Blah blah blah. And the observer is becoming the coach to the emotions. So, but when I observe, things pop in. Suddenly the suicidal energy came in. Whoa, shit, I'm suicidal. But then the observer goes, whoa, your body is suicidal. And then the observer wants to figure this out.
It's important to have that much self-consciousness to do this, basically, because those who don't have this yet, because of they didn't practice meditation or anything that calms the mind down, or practicing self-awareness anyway, they can fall into the situation to do suicide, basically.
Yep.
And since you shared this story that I really appreciate, which is really important for people to hear it, because it's many people before becoming a father are like this, or breaking up when they have a kid, they also have similar, because it's a very, very hard thing. Like, I feel like failed as a man, because of whatever reason, we had to separate. And my father, he did suicide. Wow. So he just threw his life away, even there was 2 kids, and the family already broke apart. But he just went all the way down to the bottom, until there was just that much. But in that time, there was no proper help. In the psychiatry, they just gave pills to sedate.
Yep.
There was not much else. That was the doctor told to my mother.
Yep.
If you keep him inside, because luckily 2 times he said yes, finally, to go in and do something with his addiction. My mother asked, like, is it possible to just have him inside more to have some changes? And the doctor said, what we will do, we just give more medication. wow. And when I heard this, it was so horrible, like, oh my God. And unfortunately, in that time, his friends and colleagues and everybody, it was just the same working class man, a miner. So they were just drinking, they were just had their material life, they couldn't help him. And I don't know if he was seeking any help, basically. And my mother tried to speak with him and all this, but it just didn't work because partners cannot be the therapist.
No,
and
no.
that's the worst thing, to take this role to your partner to get you out all the way from all the things. Because we have to, it's our responsibility too,
It is.
to go and find the solution, which can be any single thing, any workshop where you can just be with yourself and work on yourself. Hello, here's Peter Sörget speaking from Invested. If you want to check out the Power Awakening events in Oslo, check out my website. See you soon.
That was a surprise to me to hear that your father actually committed suicide, and I think it was kind of meant to be that we were going to talk about this. And what comes to me when you're talking is that I wonder if that was my first retreat, and I had no tools prior, no meditation skills, no breathwork skills, and that was my first retreat experience in this. I wonder if I would have jumped into that ocean, in that river. Because to me it's obviously that your father didn't have any tools and there was no resources to give him any tools. So he just, boom. And I was lucky and privileged to live in an environment where there was a lot of resources. So my environment stopped me from going down into that drain. But who knows? If I didn't have those resources in that environment, I have no idea. I might have jumped. So, and suicide, or the suicide rates for men, it's just, they've actually stopped talking about it in the news in Norway because it's so severe. Because they don't want to create more fear about these things because it's so shocking,
And then we go back basically to the topic of the previous episode when we mentioned that when people were kids, there was rarely connection to parents that deep to talk about emotion, talk about how I am, talk about the problems and solutions and all this. So people just used to be with themselves and with their problems. It's not natural that I will share with someone, but also it's just, maybe there's also the experience, like if we have material life people who just work out, in good case, and sleep, like they cannot help too much. They maybe give like advice that they just heard somewhere or they were reading it somewhere. So sharing these things, what is inside us, is better in an environment which is designed for that. Where people know what they're doing, they're listening to you, they are like-minded, they went through a lot of things, they work on lots of things. So I think if those people would know this, we could save a lot of men and women too.
Yes. That's why it's so important to meet, and I think we have a lot to learn from the indigenous traditions. So I love indigenous traditions, the Sami, the Aboriginals, the South American, the North American, all these cultures, the African cultures, the Russian traditions, and I really love them because they're very basic. And I've fallen in love the last 5-6 years into North American indigenous cultures. There's so many things that they've done, like it's incredible what they have done. They've had a democracy for 4,000 years, by the way. Nobody in the West knows this, but the North American tribes, the unpopular word is the Indians, right, have had a democracy structure for 4,000 years. And it's called coming down in a circle. So the tribe, whenever there is a problem, they meet in the circle around the fire. and talk and share. And if you're in the circle, you have to speak. Otherwise, the story is not complete. If you're not saying your thoughts, your emotions, your feelings, your problems, etc., the tribal gathering is not complete. You have to speak. So it's based on a structure that everybody has to say something. Everybody has to put an energy, a thought, a feeling, a word into the circle, so that the whole leadership of the tribe can make the right decisions. And that also goes if one of the guys in the tribe has a problem, they all gather around him or her to solve that problem. And then what they've done is that they have tribals like these, tribal meetings like this in bigger regions. So they send one representative from that tribe, one from that tribe, one from that tribe, one from that tribe for the whole region. And there's 10,000 tribes in the North America. And they've been doing this for 4,000 years. So and we call it coaching, we call it psychotherapist, we call it psychologist, we call it gestalt therapy. There's so many words for being a human, basically. Meeting up, listening, and talking. It's called human. Well, now there's all these titles, which is I find is very interesting.
There's definitely the good ways to look back on these techniques, basically. And it was just one day ago when I felt the need of meeting with someone like that. And in North or South America, I don't know yet, but I also want to explore this and implement it, basically what I can learn from these people. Yeah.
So that is the basic principles that we use in our men's work. So basically it's called Kraftkara, the men's work we do. So Kraft is power, Kara is a man, so it's a man in empowered, it's a Norse word. And that's what we base our retreats on. Trying to have as less tools as possible, as less mythology as possible, and as more simplicity as possible. Because simplicity is how we can change this. And now we're creating a club. So we're creating a club. Our goal before summer is to have a club house filled with 150 to 200 men. And so that would be very interesting to see how it goes.
That sounds very good. Because it was one day I was thinking about this, having a club where the inner worker men's are meeting.
Join our club.
Exactly. Now, we will for sure share it once it's ready. Because what is important in this, that everybody have all kinds of tools, and if people don't have to seek them all around on the internet and find who knows what kind of person with what kind of background saying anything about himself, or we don't know. That's the hardest, like how to find the right place.
Yeah.
And if you have a place where they can try methods that already works, I think that's the best. Like what people do with the hospital, they know what medicine I have to get. But the best if you go and sort out things inside, because as you said in the previous episode, there are many things that related to our inner problems, then it will show the physical effects.
Yep.
Psychosomatic issues coming up.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. I had some issues with my contracts for the next project, and it was a set goal and structure in front of me for a few weeks ago. And then I got the information about the changes and everything, and it's just messing up all the things I was preparing.
Yep.
And my right eye started to swell up, and I just checked my book, what is this, the meaning of this? And I was just reading like the conflicts regarding future and planning and all these things. And I said, I was too busy at work. I was just working a lot and basically work out and sleep. I didn't have time to, and also no opportunity to fix this because it's the upper management who's deciding. Yeah. So I was like, in a conflict and in a problem, and then psychosomatic, was it correct? Yeah. Symptoms came in. Yeah. So when we know how our body works, then basically we can heal ourselves without medicine, and it can be just talk.
Yep, exactly.
And I would come back again. If we don't do this, then all the replacements comes in,
Yep,
all the drugs,
yep,
all the scrolling, all the distractions that takes you away from problems.
yep.
Instead of just solving it and be healthy and happy, finding new people who can support you on the way.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I'm glad that you will bring this together.
Me
Thank
too.
you for sharing.
It was a great conversation. Great conversation.
But we were planning to talk about the drugs,
Yeah.
but it will be only 5 minutes left at the
Next chapter.
yeah, because that's a big one.
Yeah, it's a huge one. It's it's such a huge problem.
Because that's after suicide. The previous stage, it can be addiction basically,
Yeah.
which ends up in okay, I will give up. And basically for me, from my father's suicide, he was a very damaged male model for me. So I just saw how he couldn't handle his life and us and the family, how he loses power and just go down. For me, I see how bad idea to drop your life away, to escape from the difficulties, because I know that anything can be fixed,
Yep.
anything can be processed, and there is trillions of methods that people can use just to feel better.
Yep.
So for me, even this thing happened, it's motivational for me that I will be not that weak. No.
It's good that you had the resources to be with this pain, you know. Is it long ago?
When I was 12.
When you were 12, yeah.
So I had to figure out
You have to figure out the reasons, yeah.
what man is.
Yeah.
It was a great journey, which what is important, I want to highlight it. It's really good we ended up here. All my struggle, all my difficulties helped me to grow, because I was seeking always how to feel better, what is man, how is man. I checked everything, I cleared out all the filters to see what man is, what the good man is. And we just have to go back basically a little bit in history to see like, okay, man's roles and stuff, how men were meant. So these traumas and things that were difficult in my life helped me to heal myself. And after healing myself, being able to help others. So when you see your difficulties and traumas in this way, like, okay, now I have this package in my life. If I sort this out, one thing I will be happy, but the other, I can just help at least the loved ones around me.
Yeah.
And of course, if I have the opportunity, go further and assist brothers, sisters on their way to happy life.
There we go.
What would you say again as a sum up of this episode, as you did very good last time?
I think what you said now is probably the best way of summarizing it. The way you described how you changed your pain into teachings to become a more expanded, more fulfilled, more mature, and stronger man is the reason why we should do inner work. Because you can choose to, my dad died, and you can choose to be a victim for the rest of your life. That is a choice. There's a lot of people that chooses to be a victim because they don't know about the other stuff. You chose to grow, and you're strong, you're beautiful, you're successful. So it's turned. I have a business partner, and he says, fra krise til berikelse. It basically means from crisis to become richer in life. So any crisis can be turned into gold. Kanye West has a song about it, and I think he's been in a plant ceremony before he wrote that song, but he said, when you go deep enough, your darkest thoughts is right next to your brightest thoughts. So I think when a crisis occurs, you're at your darkest, but right next to it is the possibility to become the brightest. You just need to shed some light on it, shed some curiosity into it, and it will grow. You know, seeds grow in the dark. Turns out to be trees and plants. So there's nothing wrong with the darkness. It's just how do you meet the darkness? If you meet it with fear, the darkness will grow. If you meet it with curiosity and, wow, what is this? It will grow into be a flower. So we're both two beautiful flowers.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Eirik, for coming. And that was the second part of this episode. I feel we have a lot more to talk about, but I hope you enjoyed this. And see you soon.